Hello everyone, Mark here. Welcome to Friendship Shaving. I'm glad to be here and I hope you're well today, wherever you are in the world. Now, I have a question for you. Have you ever owned a brush that you think just might be cursed? That you can't seem to build a good lather with it? And if you do get a halfway decent lather, when you put it down to do your first pass, what lather there was just dissipates in a swirling vortex to an alternate dimension. Well, I have one of those brushes, and the brush that is cursed for me is the Semogue Owners Club Blonde Bore Bristle Brush, and I'll be using that today. I've got it soaking up here. I'm going to be using Nanny's Silly Soap today. Old Grey Bristle Test. It's a very soft soap, so I thought that would be a good soap to use with the SOC. And I'm also going to be using my straight razor today. So one of the great things about doing shaving videos and participating in the group is that I can ask advice from you guys when I get stuck. And I have received some advice this week from Simon Griffiths. Thank you, Simon. About my brush, because I've been having problems with it and it was getting to the point where I was going to give it away. So Simon's advice is fourfold. Number one, Simon advises to soak the brush for at least 10 minutes before you use it. Now I've had my brush soaking for 30 minutes today. Second bit of advice was to leave the brush wet. When you take it out of the water, shake the excess off, but don't shake it or squeeze it too much. Make sure the brush is wet. Point 3, load heavy and for at least a minute. And point 4, when you're building a lather on your face, to use only the tips of the brush rather than splaying it and using the brush further down. Now I've tried this for the last couple of nights and it's a very definite improvement, and hopefully I'll crack it today on video for you guys. So let's go. So as I say, I've had my brush soaking. I'm just going to pick it out of the water and shake it 4 times. And going to go to my soap. As I say, it is a really soft soap. You can see I'll just put my finger in it. So I haven't added any water to this soap. And I hope the brush will pick up the soap. Now because the brush is so wet, I'm getting some of that really watery foam which I'm just going to let drip off. So at least a minute. It seems to me, because I've had a Semogue brush that has done this to me before, I had a Semogue 830. And it was exactly the same. Once it was broken in, I just couldn't get it to lather well at all. And I think part of it is because the brush was so well packed with natural hair that it's that was creating part of the difficulties. Now, I'm not on a minute yet. I'm going to keep going until I've loaded this brush for about a minute. It's such a different experience using a natural hair brush rather than the synthetics, which are so easy. And I guess that's part of the reason why, if you're recommending a brush for a beginner, a synthetic is probably the way to go. I've lost count. I don't know how long it's been. Okay, this is a really soft soap, so I'm just going to pick up what's in the top of the container, and I think you can see that that has really built a good lather with it being so wet. Let's put that up there as well. There we are. I'm not going to waste this soap. And we'll just try and see how this goes. I'm going to brush it on to start with. And then slowly, we'll add a little bit of water at a time and start to agitate that soap a little bit on my face. And I'm using just the tips of the brush, as Simon suggested. Another tip I picked up this week from Thomas Nolan, again in the group, is that if you get a ball bristle brush that needs breaking in, and I think they normally take about a fortnight to break in properly, but a sort of advice that is going around the forums at the moment is to take your brush and put it in a tumbler of water and pop it in the fridge for 3 days and leave it. And then when you take it out of the fridge, really agitate it on an old towel as you're drying it. And apparently that will help. Now this brush I bought second hand. It had been used 12 times before I got it. And I think, to be honest, I got it because the gentleman that had it before me was having trouble building a lather. Now that it's been soaking for 30 minutes, it is certainly a very soft and lovely brush. And you can see I'm getting quite a really thick lather here. So it seems that we're certainly going in the right direction, and I'm going to stick with that. And get to my shave. Do my ears. Now always make sure when I use this straight that my hands are as dry as possible. trying to stretch well. It's very important to stretch your skin, and it's something that I find is quite easy to forget. Do you know, it's flipping awkward with glasses. You'll excuse me not talking quite so much. I tend to concentrate with my straight, and when I concentrate, I don't talk so much. There we are. I find it much more awkward coming in from this side. You can't see, but I've just got a damp cloth over the edge of the sink, and I'm just wiping the edge of the blade on the cloth as I go along today. So that, gents, is the first pass. It's not bad, but the big test with the brush will come now, because this is where all the soap used to just disappear from my brush. I think the reason might have been, I've been pondering this all week, I think it might have been because the brush wasn't soaked enough, so that when I put it down and did my shave for 5 minutes, the bristles were still soaking up the water that was in the soap. So when I went back to it, it had all gone. Maybe. Perhaps you might have your own ideas on this. Oh, let me tell you guys, this is the best I've ever had with this brush, by a country mile. Just going to add a little drop of water, and again, I'm just using the tips, trying not to splay the brush too much. But it's become so soft with having been soaked for 30 minutes. I would say for softness, this is easily as nice as any of my badges. Well, I say that, I've only got two. One thing I'm not sure about is, because I had the brush so wet to start with, I'm unsure about how much water I can add now to really bring up this lather. But you can see I've got plenty on my face. You know, certainly enough for this pass, and certainly enough in there for another pass. So Simon's advice has really, really worked. Marvellous, absolutely marvellous. Now I just want to give a shout out to a gentleman that contacted me in the week, Adam from Aldershot. Thanks for watching the videos, mate. Really appreciate your contact and your comments. And Adam's two favourite razors are the Moolah R41 and a 1972 Gillette Tech. So Adam, hope you're well. Have a good week. Now here we go. Oh, I didn't do my ears, did I? Just wipe that off on my pants. And I'm going to go against the grain on my neck. I'm just going to wipe my hand. It's got a bit wet just up there, and that's really where you want to avoid having any moisture. So against the grain on my neck, I'm quite new to this. That's where you've got to watch, right up there when you bring it up under your ear. I'm finding that on this bit down here, is a bit difficult for me. But having the confidence to just go ahead and do it and trust that the angle of the blade is right. Is a big thing, I think, a big help. I'll just turn that over because I'm dripping water everywhere. Now, other side. Again, didn't do the ear. And again up here, by the ear, be really careful. And that, gents, is my second pass. And that will do, and that's the first job. Wipe the excess moisture off your razor. I shall clean that in a moment with a piece of tissue. It's a little bit hit and miss for me still with a straight razor. I sometimes get an exceptionally smooth shave and sometimes not quite so good. I'm still learning with this straight. I'm still learning which way my bristles grow. I mean, this is pretty smooth here, but this bit here is not quite so smooth, and I could do with going in that direction. But I haven't quite worked out how to do that yet with the straight. It's really smooth that way, but it just needs a bit there and a bit there. But all of this is good. And to be honest, as you know by now, I don't chase the baby smooth shave. I tend to find that once my skin has calmed down, and I've got my aftershave lotion and whatever else on, even though now I might be sort of going, oh, I could do a little bit better there or there, once it calms down, I hardly notice. And nobody's given me marks out of 10, except perhaps myself. So that, gentlemen, was some tips if you have a raw bristle brush that you're having difficulty with. Perhaps this will help you. Passed on to me by Simon Griffiths, as I said, part of the Friendship Shaving Facebook group. And wonderful. The Semogue Owners Club is now my slave. So just to recap, Simon's advice was soak the brush for at least 10 minutes. I did mine for 30. Leave the brush wet, don't shake all the moisture out of the brush, just get the excess out. Load heavily for at least a minute, and when you're lathering on your face, only use the very tips of the brush rather than sort of splaying it like this. It certainly worked. That was the best shave I've ever had with this brush. It was blinking wonderful. So I do hope that that helps you. Now today I'm just going to put on some Nivea Sensitive. Actually, I'm going to put on my almond block first, because I always get close with the straight razor. Not too bad, I must say, pretty good. Stinging a bit down here, perhaps a little bit over my moustache area, but all in all I'm quite pleased with that today. There we are. I'm trying to use this up because I've got another one in the cupboard waiting to be opened. Oh, great stuff, great stuff. And today I'm going to pop on a little bit of Proraso green, eucalyptus and menthol. I think it will go with the bergamot of the old grey bristle test. Now that is stinging a little bit. So I've got a question for you guys. Do you put your aftershave balm on first and then your aftershave splash? Or do you do it the other way around? Or do you just use one or the other? All these questions. We've all got them, haven't we? We've all got them. That's my shave, fellas. You can go and leave me with the cleaning up. That's all right. I hope you have a good week. I hope you have some really good shaves. And I do hope that this advice that was passed on to me was as helpful to you as it has been to me. It's been terrific. So you look after yourselves, my friends. Have a good one, and I'll see you very soon. All the best now. Bye bye.